Once upon a time, there was a world of amphibians, living in prosperity, as their leaders conquered countless worlds, mining for plentiful resources. But after one of their own foresaw their demise, the planet's most cherished prize was vanquished to another universe, absent for 1,000 years. Amphibia society was left fractured, the toads and frogs oppressed, and treated as lesser than, under the iron fist of King Andreas. But one day, 3 girls with conflict of their own wandered into this world, returning the box to whence it came, connecting with Amphibia's people and connecting with themselves in a brand new way. Unbeknownst to these 3, their arrival in Amphibia was no mere matter of circumstance, but destiny, a path written in the stars to stop King Andreas and his power-hungry god, utilizing the power of the music box to save Amphibia and their home. But at the end of this journey, the girls had to do the hardest thing imaginable, parting ways from their found families with no way to ever return. Or is there a way? Amphibia as a television series may be over, but there are loose ends that still need to be tied up, and it seems that a bulk of those could be tackled in the upcoming book, Marcy's Journal, A Guide to Amphibia, published by the one and only Tokyo Pop. Not sponsored, but it is dropping a day before my birthday. If Disney wants to hit me up with a review copy, Matt Brawley's been plugging the book here and there post-finale, generating hype. But one plug in particular has me ready to throw all the money at them. Hook, line, and sinker. Hinting that one day in the future, stylish government agent Mr. X and underpaid, underappreciated scientist Terry could surprise the girls with something. Perhaps something a little froggy. So today, let's take a look at the future of Amphibia and its dope cast of characters, tackling the question on everyone's mind. Why can't they just build a new portal? To which I think they can and eventually will. Eventually, and Sasha and Marcy will return to Amphibia. Real quick, if you haven't already, I would love if you guys like this video and subscribe to the channel, hit that bell for notifications, and if you're looking for some dope cartoon swag, check out our stuff over at Toon Drip. We have some really sick Owl House and Amphibia-inspired designs with more drip on the way. Link in the description down below. To kick things off, I want to bring attention to some ideas Matt has around the future of Amphibia, particularly the pieces in place for a movie down the road. You know how Anne had to go full Piccolo on the moon in order to destroy the core and save Amphibia? And how, just based off our own understanding of like science and gravity, weird shit would happen if a moon went kablooey? Well, Matt believes this is directly related to the new continent Ivy mentioned during the epilogue.
In as far as like why like it's undiscovered, I have like such a stupid headcanon-y like explanation that, and this is it, hear me out, maybe it's crazy, maybe something to do with the moon's absence has changed the like geography of like Amphibia.
On a live stream with fellow animation homies over at Cartoon Universe, Matt proposed that this new continent has risen up Atlantis style as a result of the moon's destruction.
And like maybe this thing has like risen up, you know what I mean? Like I think there's like something very cool to explore there.
Like a little amphibious Atlantis rising back up.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Now, I want to take this and combine it with his pitch for a movie. Not just any movie, but a time travel movie.
And I'll just tell you right now, the movie would be a time travel movie. And the reason being is that I want to see Leaf and Beryl interact with our modern day characters. You know what I mean?
Now I know time travel can get a little messy, but personally, I would dig a Sprig, Polly, Ivy, Leaf, and Beryl adventure. And although nothing we've seen in Amphibia so far supports the existence of time travel, Froglantis is a whole new ballgame. Who's to say this new land won't already have its own ancient society, with their own magical artifacts forged by the 3-stone deity? But I gotta say, while an Amphibia movie without Anne, Sasha, and Marcy is totally doable on its own, and I'd welcome a different roster of characters with their own unique dynamics, it'd still be kinda weird. Do we really have to see them separated forever? I mean, I prefer the ending we have, as even though it's bittersweet, it's a testament to the growth of all of these characters. But putting myself in the shoes of other fans, and even the characters themselves, yeah, I'd love for this goodbye to be temporary in the grand scheme of things. Is there any way for the girls we know and love to be reunited with their frog families? I'm putting on the tinfoil hat, y'all, for it's time to do what I do best and speculate wild bullshit. It'd be awkward if Anne, Sasha, or Marcy never considered the idea of building another portal to Amphibia. After all, Anne was only able to go back and save the world because of the portal she built with the help of Terry and Dr. Jan. Now, I'm not saying the girls would be fiending to go back as soon as they're able to resume their normal lives. It would kind of defeat the purpose of their whole journey and all of the emotional development that came with it. But if they had the option to casually visit Amphibia after they settled into a new routine, taking months, if not years, before taking a single step in that universe again, I don't see why they would refuse the option. And after saving the Earth from a terrifying invasion, I think the FBI owes the girls a solid. And I don't think "I want to see my friends again" is a crazy request to make. I also would find it shocking if the FBI never offered Terry a job after the events of the series, considering her work is very impressive and they could make great strides with her around on payroll. But that's neither here or there. According to Matt, it's not a matter of if they can build another portal, but what would power the portal. Cue the tweet from the intro. Terry's machine could only open up Pinhole-Side's portal regardless of how much energy they pumped into it. Could they rebuild it and use the tiny hole to send messages? Possibly, but the research was confiscated by the FBI, and I'm not sure the girls would be given access. But maybe, just maybe, after many years had passed, Mr. X and Terry would call the girls with a surprise. Now, I'm not sure what the surprise could be beyond portal-related shenanigans, but when it comes to the fact that no matter how much energy they supply, the portal can't be more than a tiny little hole, only one conclusion can be drawn. They need the power of the Calamity Box. However, the box and its stones no longer exist, so there's no way for the girls to ever retrieve the power source they need, right? It's not like they have any of the stone's power still within them. Or do they? Okay, hear me out. Based off what we know about the Calamity Box and its 3 stones, in relation to Anne, Sasha, and Marcy, there's actually no way they wouldn't have a little power left over. At least Sasha and Marcy. When the girls were transported to Amphibia, they squeezed the last bit of juice the stones had, which seemed to already endure a lot from Aldrich's reign, and leave being out here hopping around dimensions to get the box as far away from the Leviathan Empire as possible. However, we know when the stones are completely drained, they're gray, desaturated of all colors. We also know from watching Anne throughout Season 3 that the power transferred into them isn't used up in the first transformation. She still had enough of that Calamity energy after True Colors to wreck Cloakbot on 2 separate occasions, open a portal back to Amphibia, yell at the rebellion to get their shit together, and take on Andreas during the invasion. That's not even including the showdown in space with the core. But given that she restored Marcy and Sasha's powers with the stones right beforehand, she might have gotten a free refill. So given that Anne was able to do all of that on a single tank of Calamity power, I think it's reasonable to assume that there's still energy left in the other 2 girls. I don't think Anne destroying the stones to perform the big spell factors into any of this either, as outside of the finale, the only time a stone directly enabled any use of its energy was True Colors. And that's presumably because Anne only had half of her energy drained in the second temple. Anytime Anne used her Calamity powers before or after, the stones were either inactive or an entire universe away. Sure, Mother Ohm warned the girls that using their powers to fight the core means the stones might not have enough energy to get them back to Earth, but the key word there was might. You may also be thinking, their forms were more powerful than ever, and they were doing some crazy shit in space, so they would have used up more energy together than Anne did alone. And while I get that line of thinking, the show itself justifies their boost in power as a synergy buff. They were stronger because they were together, not necessarily because they were eating up more energy. And it's not as if the stones were gray after Sasha and Marcy powered down. After all, Anne had to use the finisher. So again, there's no definitive evidence within the show itself that Sasha and Marcy are juiced out. Based off what we've seen with Anne, it should be quite the opposite. Also, who's to say the 3-stone deity didn't give Anne more power on the low before sending her back to the living realm? Now, given that these powers are activated under intense circumstances and strong emotion, I can't imagine there would have been any moment in the 10-year time skip that would have evoked the same level of stress that their escapades in Amphibia did. Granted, trauma's a thing, and who's to say at some point they couldn't have gone through their own Steven Universe future. Nevertheless, my conclusion stays the same. Terry is still capable of building a portal, and the girls should still have their powers. Unless Aditi just decided to take them back while no one was looking, but I imagine a Grand Protector would want them to have it as backup in case something else goes wrong on one of the two worlds. So if the trio figured out a way to return to Amphibia someday, I think they totally go for it. It's just a matter of if they feel like they're ready to go back. I imagine returning to a whole ass world years upon years after leaving is scary, because change is scary. And there's no way the people in places they love wouldn't have changed in that time even a little bit. Hell, they already were changing drastically a year after the girls left. And just to give a taste of what this could look like, I wanted to share some fan-made storyboards by the incredibly talented Cindavila Chase. Definitely give her a follow over on Twitter. And me, but I didn't draw anything. Her storyboards depict 23-year-old Anne receiving a call from Terry, asking her to show up to Mr. X's base of operations. When Anne arrives, the two inform her that the FBI is ready to launch Project Multiverse with a stronger, stable portal. Since they already have the coordinates to Amphibia, and they know 3 human beings who have already been there, they want the trio to test it out. Anne gets the girls together, and they take the leap of faith, entering the portal and walking out to find Wartwood on the other side. Grime, Yunin, and Olivia are stunned at the sight of the girls, having emotional reunions with Sasha and Marcy respectively. At the same time, Anne approaches the Planter household to find Sprig doom-scrolling on her old phone, looking up to find the best friend he thought he would never see again standing right before him. Anne, on the verge of tears, waves at her little brother before simply saying, "Hey." I think the girls being separated from Amphibia is a beautiful, bittersweet ending that a lot of shows wouldn't have had the balls to do. Amphibia took risks that a lot of cartoons before it couldn't, and it's all the better for it. But the future of these characters is something up to interpretation. And if you believe these families are able to reunite someday, if that's something that provides comfort, then there's no one or nothing that can really tell you otherwise. Let us know your thoughts around this idea in the comments down below, and keep the conversation going by giving us a follow on Twitter and Instagram at OstricVox and at Roundtable Vids. Special thanks to JANKYBONES for creating a phenomenal thumbnail. For more of their amazing art, you can find them on Twitter and Instagram at BoneJanky, Tumblr at JANKYBONES, and subscribe to their YouTube channel. Links down below in the description. Be sure to check out Toon Drip, and if you enjoyed this video, you already know to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. See ya!